Welcome back, everyone, to the On the Bench series by Yamaha Guitars. I'm joined today by none other than Miki Santamaria, longtime Yamaha artist, bass player extraordinaire, and welcome. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thanks, man. Yeah, good
Yeah,
to see you. Yeah.
good to see you too. I like that you got the bass with you already. Uh,
Yeah,
so, Miki has been an artist with Yamaha for how many years now?
I think 7 years since
7 years.
2000. Hmm.
Wow. So we both started at Yamaha about the same time then.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, actually we met at a NAMM show probably a year or two into me working for Yamaha. And we talked, just chatted about basses and things I had made. And you had said to me, "Oh man, one day I want you to make me something." And finally, we got to make this red bass together, which is kind of the topic of today's chat. And just so everybody knows, remember that you can ask questions. We'll add them to the stream. Ask them for Miki, ask them for me. It could be technical questions or just about the music in general. But we're glad to have you all streaming with us. And we have some help today to help us put those questions on the screen. So thank you, Aaron. So, Miki, I was looking around at, of course, your great playing, watching a lot of your videos. So, what have you been up to since you've been home?
Since, bad things happen, of course. My tour got canceled. Pretty much all the gigs are canceled or postponed. So, yeah, a small change of plans for this year. But
Yeah,
But anyway, I try to be as productive as possible. I try to, in the beginning of this COVID thing, I tried to relaunch my YouTube channel a little bit because I was a little bit, I didn't upload things for a long time. And well, it's time to be back online, right? It's the
yeah,
perfect time. And
yeah.
um, and yeah, and now that we're starting to do like a normal life, we will have some concerts with my band. It's not gonna be the 50 dates that we had, but it's gonna be maybe 15 or something like that. So
Yeah.
we can do something. It's not gonna be a real tour, but
No, but
it's
that's
gonna be
great.
fun.
Getting back
Yeah,
out there and doing something. That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
So I'm glad to see you're staying busy, still playing. I loved watching some of your Michael Jackson covers or
Well,
Stevie Wonder, of course. I really love those. I love a lot of your technique is very clean, very kind of like sweet playing, but of course you're very funky. You got a lot of slap technique and stuff. But I heard that you actually didn't start playing bass first, right? You started with guitar.
I started actually with piano when I was 10 years old. And
Cool.
it was not like my parents set me on a music school. No, it was because we had a little keyboard at home, and I was
Okay.
just messing around with it, and I fell in love with music that way, in the most simple way, right? Like just playing melodies. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, I like this. And
Great.
then I got a bigger piano, well, keyboard, so I could play both hands. And when I was 12 years old, I started playing guitar because I felt like I wanted to, strum some chords. I never
Sure.
been a real guitar player, but I can
Yeah.
play some. And then when I was 16, I started playing bass. And I had my first band already where I was the keyboard player because that was my main instrument when I was 16, no? But but at 16, yeah, I fell in love with bass. I
That's
had
great.
to show the bass player of my band, I had to show him what to play because it was basically my last one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was grabbing his bass and telling him, okay, you gotta put your finger here and do this and then this and this.
Yeah.
And while showing him what to play, I was like, I think I like this better than playing
Yeah.
keyboard.
Yeah. That's so funny, but that's a cool story. I always feel like if people have a really good background in playing piano, just your music theory knowledge is greater. Like when you start playing other instruments, and it's a good practice to be cross trained in multiple instruments. Unfortunately, like I really only play guitar or other like string fretted instruments. I never learned piano very much or how to play drums. I'm terrible at the drums. So I just like when we have artists come over and stuff, it's like I see so many guys are so good at multiple things, especially like a lot of our drum artists or like you play piano as well, or like really also good vocalists and stuff. So I love that, and it shows I think in your playing and in your technique a lot that you have command of the instrument, and you can hear like in a lot of your soloing too when you shift do your chord changes and stuff. It comes out in the playing. So I respect that a lot. It's like I have a lot of friends that are just so beyond, in terms of playing, and you're one of them, and it's just amazing to see you like, really present your musical thoughts like so easily. So I love that, and your tone is great too. So if you started playing piano and then you played guitar, then you played bass. Well, what was your first bass, by the way?
It was actually, I have it here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this was it.
Oh, wow. That's pretty nice.
BB. It's a BB from the 90s.
Wow.
Yeah, it did the work, man. When I started, it was a decent bass.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, after a while, I got a better bass.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was nice to start with that.
Yeah. And then did you have a BB 1600? Was that like your first Yamaha?
Yeah, that was my first one. I don't have it anymore, but that was my first Yamaha experience. And
Yeah,
it
that's
was,
cool.
because I always been a big fan of Tony Canal from
Yeah,
No Doubt. Okay, he's one of
course.
my favorites, and that was his bass. So every
Yeah.
time I thought about the Yamaha bass, I thought about Tony Canal and his awesome tone, and yeah, that was my first Yamaha bass. I wanted to sound like Tony,
Yeah.
and yeah, and shortly after I got in touch with Yamaha, and they sent me this BB 2024X,
Yeah.
the one that I painted in chrome.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I was gonna bring that one up too. That's like a super cool bass. You're very lucky to have that one. That's cool.
I don't have it here because I have it in the workshop. But yeah, that was originally white, but I painted it in chrome. It was a little change, but yeah, I like flashy things. That's why.
Yeah.
It's not a, it's a cool color. I don't know.
Yeah. No, of course. Well, I always say it's like an instrument is fashion, right? It's over your clothes in front of all your fans, so it's got to look good too. And if you're gonna go to a music store, it has to catch your eye, to go and pick it up. So it makes sense. I don't shame you for liking something that sticks out. Of course, I always liked things that were a little loud. If you looked at my car, it's pretty blue. It's very bright. But yeah,
I have a yellow car, so.
Oh, awesome.
I'm like,
yeah, life is so much better in color, in full color, right? It's just, you got to live a little bit. You can't have gray all the time. Just, there's a sea of gray and plain, and yeah, it's good to stand out a little bit. So I love that. So yeah, I mean, you started playing that BB 1600, and then you said you started playing at like 16. At what point did you like start becoming more serious and then like really gigging a lot and this becoming like your legitimate profession?
when I was 16, I was playing with my friends, you know, the typical band of teenagers.
Yeah.
But then shortly after, I got calls from other bands in my town, in my hometown, and I was playing with like 4 and 5 different bands at the same time when I was 17 or 18. But the turning point was when I got hired by a band that had like a tour, like a 30 dates tour,
Mm.
and they were professional. They were a band that were on the radio a few years before. So that was my turning point, and I was 21, I think.
And this is all in
Then,
Spain, right?
yeah, everything was
Yeah.
changed. And I started playing with everyone here in Barcelona. I always been very busy, but
Yeah.
at one point when I was 26, I think, um, I felt like I don't know, I was in the same point all the time, you know, and I wanted to grow. So I
Hmm.
was starting to plan my escape from Spain.
Yeah. That's pretty funny. I did the same. I I had to escape from home as well. So where'd you escape to?
Well, I started like visiting a friend in San Diego, California, in
Cool.
2012. I spent the summer there just to
Yeah.
see what's going on, and I loved it. Of course, San Diego
Yeah.
is
San
amazing.
Diego's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I spent the whole summer of 2012 there, and I met some musicians. And from that trip to San Diego, I got this cool gig on cruise ships. I
Ah,
was
yeah.
playing I was playing this musical Rock of Ages, which is on
Yeah.
Broadway. But I was
Hmm.
playing the cruise ship version, okay,
Yeah.
on board this large cruise ship that was departing New York every Sunday,
Wow.
and, the itinerary was very cool because it went to Bahamas or Bermuda. So
Perfect.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's
spent
great.
2 years of my life like sailing. I spent half a year in 2013 and half a year in 2014 because you know it's long contracts. It's like 6 months contracts
Yeah, yeah.
on board on for cruise ships. So yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah. Oh, one of my other best friends, Alex Pierce, he played bass on cruise ships as well, and he loved doing that. And yeah, he would tell me stories about you know being on deck and hanging out and playing all the time. It's a really great way to actually build your chops. A lot of guys from
Yeah,
when I went to school played on ships and stuff, and it like really keeps you going because you got a lot of shows to play, right?
yeah. Of course, you develop like consistency. You know, you gotta be
Yeah,
playing the same thing every night. It's like well, this was a musical, so you can imagine it's like playing on Broadway,
yeah,
but you know on the sea, which is weird, but it was fun. But then the cool thing about cruise ships is that we are not the only musicians on the cruise ship.
yeah.
So after our show, for example, I would go to the blues room where
Hmm.
there were this amazing band of um, four amazing musicians playing blues every night, and
Cool.
sometimes I sit in and play with them, and that was amazing.
Yeah,
And then I got this other room, which was more like a, you know, this piano singing play kind of thing that it's very popular in the US, like Piano
yeah,
Man, you know, the
yeah,
guy
yeah.
takes requests from the audience and plays wherever the audience wants.
That's
So I would
amazing.
sit
Yeah,
in with those guys too, and that was so much fun because you never knew what song you were gonna play. But man, I got I was that was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was amazing.
yeah. I have so much love and respect for guys who can like just take a request and play the song just like that. My memory is just full of like specs and like how to make the guitar, but like if you ask me, hey, play this song, I just like can't handle it. So it's if you like if it was life and death and you told me to like play a whole song start to finish right now, I'd be in a casket. It's just it's so hard for me. So I always love when guys have like just incredible library of tunes and their memory is just so good. Like, and when especially when I see some of your playing and stuff too, it's like I wonder, like, how do you memorize all this stuff? Yeah, it's it.
I have a large list of songs that I know, and I'm really fast at catching things. Like I listen a phrase once and I can play it right after that. You know, I don't need to figure out. I spend much time figuring out anything because I'm really fast when it comes to pop and rock music. Of course, when it's jazz, it's more complicated.
Sure.
But yeah, and but yeah, those guys, man, those guys that were singing and playing piano, they knew like 1,000 songs by memory, and then they have
Yeah.
their album where they can find, you know, the lyrics, but they knew by memory like 1,000 songs, no problem. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Just pulling out the big book and
Of course, I don't remember lyrics, man. To me, that's the most difficult thing to remember the lyrics of a song. It's like I'm so bad at that. But
yeah.
to
Oh,
remember finding chords and stuff, yeah, I can do that.
yeah. There's definitely songs I've listened to like a million times and I still don't know the words because I'm just listening to the guitar riff or the bass line. Yeah, you know, I just yeah, I couldn't tell you how many songs that I could hum to you what the melody would be, but I could never tell you what the words are. And
Yeah,
you know,
I know pretty much, for example, I think I know pretty much 75% of Red Hot Chili Peppers discography, but I
yeah.
think I only know two or three lyrics from beginning to end.
That's pretty funny. Well, you know, you said you're a big Tony Canal fan, and of course, he's been a long time Yamaha guy and like loyal supporter of ours. I loved his tone too. I remember my sister getting like No Doubt album, you know, like when we were kids, you know, and it was like it was awesome hearing them play. And actually, you brought up Flea too, and Flea was kind of an influence a little bit for this bass that we made. So yeah, I mean, I guess can you talk about what you requested and how this bass came to be? Maybe play us a little tune or something like that. Tell us about like your sound. What was your big influences when it comes to making this bass and what you're searching for on the stage when you're playing?
Hmm. Of course, this bass it's inspired on Flea's sound basically, which it turned to be pretty much my sound too, because I don't know, it's like my biggest influence in terms of
Sure.
sound and playing. So yeah, basically the big thing is this pickup, this humbucker pickup,
Mm,
with something that you don't find on regular BB basses, and that's what really makes the difference. Is that humbucker sound? Uh, for me, on bass, there's like three standards: the precision kind of sound, the jazz bass kind of sound, and then there's these other big, I think, sound on bass, which is the humbucker sound.
sure.
And yeah, it's a different sound, man. There's so many bass players in history which are known by this signature sound, like Bernard
Yeah.
Edwards, Pig, or the same Flea, Tony Levin. There's so many more.
Tony
It's
Levin,
like,
that's a good pull. Yeah, it's very clean sounding. So that pickup, that specific pickup, is a Lane Poor
yeah,
humbucker, and that they don't really make a lot of them anymore. It was kind of a hard find. The gentleman that was making them no longer makes them, I guess, and I think one of his successors has been winding some, so we got a hold of this one pickup and it's really cool. It's actually pretty thin, thinner than like a normal soap bar style pickup. And it's all like epoxy, potted and stuff. So it's all kind of like sealed up in there. And your bass actually has the Aguilar OBP1 preamp in it. So it's just a volume, a bass, and a tone control.
yeah.
Um, and we just kept it so it looks like the normal BB. Normally on a BB, you have the volume, the blend, and the tone control, because there's two pickups, but you only needed one. And honestly, I really love the way that it sounded. I hadn't used that pickup before, But when the bass was done and we strung it up for the first time and I played it, I was like, oh, wow, this is like a really powerful, great sound. And I think it's attributed a little bit to, it's a standard Alder body and a quarter sawn maple neck. And it's just a one-piece neck. What we do is we shave the fingerboard off the block, and then we thickness sand both of them, and we glue them back together. So the fingerboard and the neck become one again. So you can't see the seam really.
It seems like one piece. Yeah, it was originally one piece, right? So you just sliced it and put the truss rod in there and pop.
Yeah, and then we pop it back on there. And, there was a couple of things that you were specific about. One was you wanted the nickel frets. That was something where you said, oh, I tried stainless frets, but I think I really like this sound. So we stuck with that. You wanted that quarter sawn maple neck, which I like a lot too. It makes the bass like the neck nice and stiff. So it's really good for tuning. It's really good for stability. It's good for travel. It's also good for strength. Like the headstock is really strong.
I didn't have to adjust it at all, I think, because it's so stable.
Yeah, it should be like, once you set it, it shouldn't move. And we didn't put any carbon rods or anything like that in there. It's because, because it's quarter sawn and the grain goes straight up and down, it's perfect. So it works really well, and it gives, in my opinion, a springier sound. When you use a flat sawn neck versus a quarter sawn neck, I always felt like the quarter sawn neck gives you a little bit springier sound, a little bit more lively tone. And sometimes that's a good thing, and sometimes it's not exactly what you're searching for. But when it comes to what your sound is, I thought, that is a good combination, right? It's like a nice, clean fundamental. It's got like a really nice kind of springy sound for slapping. And I always felt like, that's something that works really well with like an Alder body. Now, if you did quarter sawn maple neck with an ash body, and then it was like, Telly bridge pickup or something like that on a guitar, it could be a lot of sizzle, it could be a lot of brightness. But for this, it actually works really well, and especially with that active preamp, it's like a really nice tone. And then we did an 18-volt, I believe.
Yeah,
right?
2 9-volt batteries.
Yeah, and I like doing that 18-volt too. It gives you a little higher headroom, which it comes out pretty good.
It's much louder than any other bass that I have.
Yeah, it is quite loud, which I was surprised by too, and I think it's just like the power of the pickups, the power of the active preamp, the power of that red color just sticking out, so it's very
and an extra dB.
yeah, that red, I think it's an extra 3 dB, it's pretty good. And the bass has like a nice satin finish all over the neck. It's just like a satin clear. There's no tint or anything like that. So it's like super duper thin.
And I like that. So my thumb doesn't stick there, So it's smooth, and I can move around, no problem. It's so smooth.
All credit goes to Rafael Brajas, our like wonderful painter, who like the finish came out great. I love it. The red color was specific too. Like you had a couple of images. You shot us a couple of images of some cars, and we just did a color match on that for you. And you could see we put the 18-volt battery pack right next to the standard controls, and it's all nestled in there, nice and snug. Oh, you didn't even take the plastic off the back yet, did you?
Nope.
Keeping it fresh. Yeah. But in every other way, it's. Go ahead.
Sorry, on the pickguard, yes, I removed the one on the pickguard.
Yeah, you got to on the front. Well, don't worry, you could peel it off. I'll make you another one if you ever want it. But really, this is a standard BB bass, but there are a couple of unique highlights. Besides the pickup, it also has an extra fret. Which is not the most common, but like some guys ask for extra frets, and it happened with Jack Gibson, of course, John Patitucci. He always needs 26. Um, yeah, because he's got to get up there, you know. So like it's cool, like to see some of the things that people request on their bass. So you know, what about it? Like, why did you want the extra fret? What about, you know, some of the specs and like maybe the neck shape and things? Like, what made you choose those specs?
Those the extra fret, for example, is basically because I have this hit song on YouTube. You know, the extreme slap solo. You know, that video that
Yeah.
everybody watched. And there's this section that
Yeah.
D minor, so I need these two notes.
Yeah.
The C and the F. I need them. So you know, it's a section of that solo, and
That's
yeah,
awesome.
I'm used to this fret, so I gotta have it.
That's so cool. I mean, you know, as a builder, I don't always think about that. I just think, oh, geez, why does this guy want extra frets? I got to make a whole new blueprint. I got to do all this, you know. And I like to, you know, bust everybody's stones, crack them up a little bit, and you know, so it's cool to hear the story behind why you want it. You know, Patitucci always said, like, oh, when I play in a certain key, same thing. I need to get up, you know, to that high C, or like I have to go somewhere. So it makes a lot of sense.
The same thing, the detuner. You know, when I use the detuner, the E string goes to D, so
Yeah.
that makes so I can expand my range from the low side
Mm-hmm.
for one tone, right? So from E to D, and then if I'm playing in D, yeah, it's good to have the minor third. You know, this is
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
so yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, here's one of the questions. Are the pickups ceramic? The pickup itself, I believe, is a ceramic magnet, but it has two blades. It instead of like normal pole pieces like you'd see on like a humbucker pickup that has like the large magnets. It's actually blades. So it's more similar to a traditional Yamaha BB pickup that has those big fat blades in them, and that's what always kind of gave the BBs a really powerful sound. And you won't when you look at the back of the pickup, I can't believe you have an extra on you. That's pretty. Yeah, that's cool.
The back of
Yeah,
the pickup is just, you know, is sealed. So
yeah, it's sealed, so you can't really see, and they keep the secret to the sauce to themselves, you know. But
yeah,
it is a very cool sounding and unique pickup, which I love it. So I was really, you know, when I plugged it in for the first time, like I said, I was actually really surprised, and I think it works perfect for your style of playing and all that. You know, like a lot of the slap technique. It has a lot of like really nice snappy attack, but like when you're playing Isn't She Lovely, right? You can get that kind of like sweet sound. So like
yeah,
when you change your controls a little bit, it goes from like this like really funky powerhouse to something a little bit more delicate, a little bit more
right.
sweet, you know?
Exactly. If I turn the treble all the way down, I get this mellow sound that I love. And this pickup is so musical that I can hear every note perfectly, and it's musical and it's smooth. I love that. You know, I can be as smooth as I want, and then I can just turn the treble down, up and be like as funky as hell.
Yeah.
With just one pickup, which is something great. And talking about this pickup, I tried so many different humbucker pickups, and this one, well, it's the most musical one, but also it's very well balanced in terms of volume on each string. I love
Yeah.
that.
String to
It's
string
just
volume is very even, and I felt like when you're playing complex chords, or you know, you're playing all four strings at once, there's very clear definition in each string, which is really important, especially for a bass player, right? If you're going to play something that's a little bit more complex, tonally, with whatever your harmonies are, you want to be able to hear each one of those notes ring clearly and not feel like dissonant or have one kind of muddy the other. And that's something where it's like you'll see a little bit more like woofy low end on some pickups, just because it's so much like information. Really, it's like the string itself is pretty fat, especially like on a 5-string bass. That's always kind of the issue with the 5-string, is like that low B can get a little floppy. So you need like a really tight sounding pickup that's going to be able to handle it. That's why like the coils on the typical BB, like the 735As and stuff like that, we make sure like the pickups are wound so they're balanced, and it has a little bit of that cleaner output, especially with that active preamp. And you actually played a 735A or 734A at least a little bit, right?
Yeah, up to 734 and one 735. Yeah,
Cool.
those are. I use them a lot too. But of course, it's a different sounding. It's 2 pickups. It's a different story. More like I consider that more like a classic kind of sound, and this is more modern, more funk,
Yeah. So the difference with your bass, going back to like some of the differences between what you asked for and what the stock product is, the 734, 735, or even like the BBP 34, 35, the made in Japan models, they feature a 3-layered body. So they have the alder and then the maple core that's about a 1/4 inch thick, and then the alder on the back. And we do that for a couple of reasons, but one of them is that we want that neck to be touching that maple layer in the center, because it has a more defined attack, and it pretty much sends the vibration more quickly through the body, but you still get the tone of the alder. Whereas your bass is just a solid alder body. It's just like a normal plain alder body, because you were saying like you wanted just kind of like the 2 pieces of wood, a little bit more kind of simple setup. It also, it has a pretty decent weight to it too. Like your bass doesn't weigh very much at all. I think we weighed it was 8 pounds or something like that, or somewhere in that range.
Definitely less than 4 kilos, because we do kilos and stuff, but yeah, it's very light and well balanced.
We would just convert to the metric system. I'm so tired of it's like converting things all the time. It drives me nuts.
Pounds and inches and stuff. I don't know, but yeah, definitely less than 9 pounds for sure.
Yeah.
And you put some ultralight here.
Yep.
So
Dipshot ultralight 1/2 inch post.
Yeah, that's something really cool, because the neck doesn't dive.
Yeah.
I put my bass here and it doesn't happen anything. It's like,
yeah, that's great. I mean, that is one of those things where it's like, if you have heavy tuners, especially on a bass, because the hardware is bigger and the neck is longer, it's out so far, like you have to kind of consider your balance there. So that's what I like, using the ultralight tuners a lot. But I do like the sound of bigger tuners as well, and you'll see that more on like the Attitude bass, the Billy Sheehan Attitude bass. The Attitude bass is big. It's like a big old bass, and it's got a detuner and stuff, and the neck is huge. So that's, but that's Billy's style too. It's like he wears it a little higher. His playing style is like he wrangles it in that way.
yes.
So yeah, I mean, but we've been actually putting some ultralights on some custom ones that we did for Billy as well. So those really work very well. I like them. Goto also makes a really nice tuner called the Resolite. That's like a sealed, smaller tuner. But they have like a different key. So like the clover keys are cool. For a bass, you kind of want that look. It's classic.
Yeah, they're cool. These ones, I really like them. Yeah.
And then we used the Omega bridge on your bass. So typically, on a BB, you're going to have the strings through the body, and we do like those 45-degree angle ferrules. But because you requested this type of bridge, we can't do that. But this bridge actually I like a lot. It has a lot of room for travel. If you change your string gauge, you can intonate it pretty much no problem. It's great for a builder because you don't have to be so concerned about getting the bridge in this super exact location to intonate perfectly. You know, sometimes on a tune-o-matic bridge on an electric guitar, like you really have to be perfect where you place it. But this, it's great. So like, you know, it's heavy. It's a heavy bridge, but it has like a really nice sound, I think. And, you know, it's a good feel on your hand too. If you, you know, ever put your hand back there to like mute or anything like that.
Yeah. So, you really don't feel it. It's like super comfortable. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think like kind of all these little combinations of things lead itself to that sound. And, you know, I really like the maple fingerboard. I love doing maple fingerboards on guitars, on basses. And actually, I'll add this question. Curious on Miki's take on maple fretboards versus rosewood, besides the it's brighter thing. So, yeah, I mean, how do you feel about maple fingerboards versus rosewood, or even like ebony? And you know, we've been using a lot more pau ferro because it's, you know, more sustainable. So yeah, what are your thoughts on some of those things on woods?
Well, I had the chance to investigate a little bit, and I had this base where I could replace the neck. I bought two exactly the same bases, but one was the maple neck version, and the other was the rosewood version. And when I played at home, I was like, I don't really hear the difference. But when I was, well, of course, you know, the maple is a little bit brighter, the rosewood is a little bit darker, but at the end I was recording it, and it's pretty much the same. But when I realized the big difference was when I hit the stage, and I could hear my bass much more, with much more clarity in the mix with the maple neck. The rosewood was like right there, like in the background, but the maple neck really made the bass stand out. That's why I normally prefer maple neck. I'm not talking about brightness. I'm talking about the mid frequencies, actually. Those frequencies are there, like under there, which are really important for a bass. The low mids, you know what I'm talking about. And with the maple neck, I could really hear the notes better than the rosewood. Maybe the rosewood is I don't know, is deeper, maybe. I don't know. But
yeah, in my experience in building the instruments, you know, it's more of like a punch kind of thing, like you said. Like you can hear a little bit more of the, you know, the punch, the initial attack. So you get a little bit more clarity. So different woods kind of react differently based on what the body wood is too. So if you did like an ash body maple neck with a rosewood fingerboard, rosewood also has some highs, some high highs, and you see it a lot more with acoustic guitars, right? Acoustic guitars are a great way to kind of really hear the tonal differences between certain woods. So if you have an all maple bodied acoustic guitar, it's going to be bright. It's going to be, you know, kind of a drier sound, which dry is not always a bad thing. You know, it's like, really you have to think about when you're in a band what your, you know, your part of the band is. You know, everybody plays their part, and you want to sit in a certain range, a certain frequency range. And I learned that like more with guitar playing, where I always liked a really dark sound for guitar, a smoother sound, you know, and when I would go and play, it wouldn't stand out. And you really have to kind of adjust, because it's not my job to bring the bass. It's your job to bring the bass, right? So it's like you need the bass to sit in the mix a certain way. You need the guitars to sit in the mix a certain way. And you don't want to go too bright with the guitars. Then you start messing with the cymbals from the drums. So it's a really kind of delicate balance between, you know, having the sound that you like when you practice privately, at home and the sound that you need when you're on stage. So that's a interesting take that, like, you heard more punch when you were on stage, a lot more clarity. So that's cool. I'll definitely keep that in mind for future builds, for other guys too. And you see that with Billy's bass. Billy has the maple fingerboards. He always loved those. Just personally, I like the look and I like the feel too.
Feel is also important. Yeah, you can
Yeah,
really, yeah, it's noticeable. It's a different feel. The string vibrates differently, and it gives
yeah,
you another sensation on your fingers. Yeah,
yeah.
and I'm used to that too. So yeah, that also makes a difference for me.
Yeah, I always like the maple, just because I like things to be one piece. Like, I like if a body is one piece and the neck is one piece, it's two pieces of wood and they're working together in harmony. Versus, like, I've made instruments where there's like lots of different pieces of wood and they come out great and they sound great. I mean, that Nathan East headless bass is like a million pieces of wood. You wouldn't notice it because it's all white, but it's I made like custom plywood for that hollow section. But then you think about, like, sometimes simple is the best, and sometimes, it's like I want something a little bit more complex. Everything has its kind of place in the world. And I think that the maple is a really great sound for funk players. And, I think your playing is a lot of that kind of funky style. So I think it comes out really good. A good alternative too, for maple, if you like the darker colors, ebony. Maple and ebony share a lot of tonal similarity, in terms of brightness, but they're a little bit different. Ebony has a lot more like low end too, and it's just much more dense wood. It's nice for fretting. It's nice for putting the frets in because you can't crush the wood.
Um,
But it looks really cool. Yeah, I mean, I like the red and white that you picked. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, ebony is great for fretless too because, well, the neck, the fingerboard doesn't get scratched as much as the rosewood or maple.
Yeah,
I like ebony too, but no, my thing is maple. Ebony
yeah,
is cool. Its definition is also bright and deep, but my thing is it's a maple. Hmm.
yeah. Yeah, and you see ebony on like the Nathan E signatures, and you see it on some of the Patitucci basses and stuff as well. It's a classic in the bass industry, and guitars for that matter. But yeah, that's a great question, Mariano. Thanks for that. Yeah, so I mean, what else have you been doing in the meanwhile? I know that you got your YouTube channel going again. I think you were doing some school things too, right? You're giving some lessons,
Yeah.
So how's that been going?
Yes. A year ago, it was May 2019. I launched my own online school, the first
Great.
online school for Spanish-speaking bass players.
Cool.
And it's been 1 year, and it's been really a success, especially in the last few months with all this pandemic thing. There's a lot of new students on these last 3 months, sorry. And yeah, that's my, I don't know, it's like a life project for me, you know.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I hope the audience will start getting some lessons from you. I know I sure need one. But that's cool. I mean, now when you teach, do I don't know what your experience is with theory and like what your music education is like. Did you really study, or is it all by ear? Do you like to encourage guys to really kind of study the music theory behind things? Or, when I learned when I was a kid, I learned a little bit of theory and I also learned like a fun song. So it was always kind of like a 50-50 lesson. It's like you have to eat your vegetables too, with your dinner. So that was
For
always
me,
my thing. So,
yeah.
oh,
For
look,
me,
looks,
for me, I was a self-taught, so it was all about having fun, learning songs and playing, and that's it. But when I was 21, I started studying music in the music university. So I went straight to the university being
Oh, great.
self-taught. Yeah, just like that. Uh, but because as self-taught, I was also studying a little bit of harmony and reading. So I was always interested on theory a little bit. But no, to me, going to the music university, that make me like a much better musician and well-rounded and everything. So when I teach, I normally understand a lot all these musicians that they started playing just for fun, but they wanna become a professional or they wanna study, like taking it a little bit more serious. So that's what I'm trying to do with my school. Like I'm teaching these guys and girls that they can play. They can really play. They have their own bands, but they don't know any theory. So I can teach them in a way that they will understand because they already know a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's just putting labels on things that they probably already know, and from then I will start growing all this music theory and music harmony stuff on top of this.
Yeah,
But
it's
yeah, and
great.
I love to teach people who start from zero. So yeah, it's basically lessons for all levels, like in this format as video tutorials. And yeah, people is happy with it. Mhm.
That's great. Yeah, I like, the theory, like the idea of learning by ear. Of course, so many great musicians throughout history learned by ear and just were naturally musical. But putting a name to the face, right? Put it like, I know what this chord looks like when I play it, or I know, these chords change, so I'm going to play these notes. Knowing what you're actually doing, it just kind of like reinforces your ability to communicate with your fellow musicians, right? Everybody speaks this universal language that we all hear, but not everybody can like read and write it, right? It's like it's this really great kind of oral tradition that's been passed down for generations, but it also has this written element to it. And I don't always prescribe to you have to get like this crazy education to be a great musician, because there are so many that are really great. But I think what you're doing is the route that people should go. It's like you should learn and take lessons from somebody who knows a lot about music, not specifically because you need to know like the like actually writing the notes, but like kind of explain to you how you come to hear these things. And ear training is a big part of that. So it's like I think that's excellent, the way that you're going about it. Like, I definitely have to sign up for a lesson. Well, speaking
But
of
now
hearing something, um,
Mhm.
Katie asked, "Let's hear some bass." So let's do that. I'll let you play it. Why don't you play a little tune for us?
Of course, yeah, I can play this song called Mickey's Groove.
Okay,
That
cool. Let's
I
see if I
actually
could
recorded.
get the screen to just feature you. Let's see. Uh, yeah, it's going to be the two of us. Go
Okay,
for it.
play some background music too. um, a little bit rusty, okay, because it's been 3 months at
Oh,
home.
come on, it's not that rusty.
Let's do it.
Ooh, that was awesome. I didn't look rusty to me at all. That was pretty great, man. Ah,
A little bit, a
beautiful.
little bit. I need more practice. Every musicians need more practice, but yeah.
Oh, geez, even my dad said he could listen to that all day. All right. Hey, Dad. That's funny. So let's see. Last question was what pickups are you using at the moment? That's the Lane Pour humbucker pickup that we talked about earlier. Check that out. It's really great.
For
Yeah, great. Pedro asked, will we get a signature? So, and can we talk about more maple necks and fretboards? Kind of like what we do with all our artists. It's more of like a way for us to do like testing, and we really kind of take what Miki comes up with and we try and put it into the standard product. So, you know, we have maple fingerboards in the new BB lineup. You can get a 434M with a maple fingerboard because we listened to guys that wanted more maple fingerboards. So that's like one of those things where we don't do a lot of signature models, but we do work with the artists and we give our artists like what they want. And you know, that's why Miki has this totally awesome custom bass, is because we wanted to hear from Miki, oh, what is unique? You like the BB, but like, how can we make it better? So we always do these kind of development projects with our artists. And it's a really great opportunity for us to learn something. And one of the things that we learned from Miki is like, oh, okay, this maple neck is really great. Hey, maybe we should add an extra fret. Hey, maybe we should do this pickup option or that bridge option or whatever it is. So it's like a way for us to learn everything and kind of like, you know, I always say it's like a Formula One team. You know, not everybody gets to be the pilot of the F1 car, but you could buy a car from the brand. So a lot of guys, I definitely suggest if you like a BB, you like a maple neck, check out that BB 434M. It's a really reasonably priced bass. It is really close to what Miki's playing. And you can put in a lot of different types of pickups, but like listen to the pickups that come on the bass stock. They're really great. So it's a really great way to get, you know, very close to what Miki's got on his bass. And then let's see. I think that's about it. You know, not too many more questions. Add your questions last minute if you like. But Miki, I'd love for you to, like, you know, promote whatever you like. You know, your YouTube channel, of course. Where else can guys find you if they're interested in listening to more Miki music, man?
Yeah, I'm really active on Instagram. My Instagram is at Miki Santamaria, very simple. And of course, YouTube, which is my main personal network, where I have like 200 videos of all kinds, like lessons, reviews, solos, covers, everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to get in touch with me, that's the way.
Great.
Instagram
Yeah.
and YouTube. I'm not looking at Facebook lately, but I'm also there.
Yeah.
And in my school, if you speak Spanish, yeah, you can learn from me in my school, escueladebajistas.com.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. So if you're interested in taking some bass lessons, highly recommended, of course. Please support Miki. We love supporting him. And we love that he's a supporter of us. And I guess, you know, the last question, the question I've asked everybody when we're signing off is like, what is something that you learned on the road or maybe on the cruise ship or something there that has helped you since you've been stuck at home? You know, it's like a lesson on the road that helps you while you're home.
While I'm home, you mean in the last 3 months or in general?
In the last 3 months.
Oh my God. One thing that I learned, of course, is to me, what really worked is to try to be as versatile as possible. Like, don't stick to just one project or just one style or just one instrument, even. You know, a musician has to be a well-rounded artist. Like, you gotta be dealing with a lot of stuff, and you better be good at all this stuff, because in you know, the things that happened recently really prove that. Like, if you're a musician that can only play live, what are you gonna do? You know?
Yeah.
So you better
That's
have a big plan.
That's great advice. Yeah, I that's wonderful.
For example, I really wanted to focus my music on online. You know, that's something that I started in 2012, and I think now really pays off. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I got in touch with you guys in Yamaha mainly because of that. I got a lot of opportunities just because I was online on YouTube. So yeah, that's my advice. Try to be as versatile as possible. Try to be everywhere you can, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think that's great advice. I think you have so many more great things to say. And if people want to hear more of it, please check Miki out on his website, his Instagram page, get a lesson. You know, all these things you could learn in a lesson too, you know. So thank you so much for joining me today. And I look forward to seeing you in the shop next time you come to town. Cheers, man.
Next now, man. Yeah. Thanks
Yeah,
for
yeah.
inviting me. It's been a pleasure as always.
Of course, no problem. Well, thanks, guys. Check out the Yamaha Instagram page, our YouTube channel. Check out our Facebook page. We'll be doing more of these shows. And thanks again, Miki. This was wonderful. Cheers, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Adios.